see. And if I hit this again, it'll actually show me my, the input path, volume pedal, wah, as is right here. So so you don't have to use this. You can actually get pretty good at editing, things this way. And you can move. If I wanted to move that, I would just hit this button, and then I can move the reverb, around wherever I want to move it to. So, of course, you got MIDI stuff. You can control your expression pedal. If I hold this down, you can basically get all my user options. You can choose what my rig input is, that type of thing. Output to amp, I can do full rig out, just the amp out, amp input, rig input, or rig out without the cabinet simulation, or full rig output. Pretty cool. And you can define that front and or back, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Is that you've got one amp out on the front and then amp out 2 for right, because it's left and right stereo. If you use both, is on the back. So I'm not really sure why they chose to do it that way. Would have been nice if it'd be cool if this is on the front, but if they'd been cool if they would have did 2 left and right output to amp on the back. But I'm sure that would involve, another signal path, who knows what's involved there. Beyond that, you can control effects loop, whether or not the routing is stereo or mono to stereo, which is cool. External pedals, this is where you can calibrate your expression pedal or a dual foot switch, and what kind of lets you define what the switch does. You can cycle through rigs, and here's your MIDI configuration, rig balancing, which is cool because you can actually let you go through each rig. Oops. And it tells me what the levels are set at. So instead of scrolling through each rig,
it's 4 o'clock.
Alright. Thank you. Instead of cycling through each rig manually and then playing and trying to come up with a level, this is an easy way to just kind of go through all your patches and basically balance the output of all the rigs and make them all uniform. So you can cut levels, boost levels, and that sort of thing. It's really cool. So amp cab linking, and basically what this does is it links cabs that go with specific types of amps, or that would typically go. So with the AC30, it would typically link it to an AC Blue 212 cabinet, and for like the tread plate amp, which is like the Boogie rectifier model, it would actually link probably like a 412 Classic 30, which is like a vintage 30 type deal. And of course you can define or control the contrast of the screen, whatever. And you can actually change whether or not the display, whether or not it displays a knob or a value. I like showing the value because when you turn the knob, it doesn't necessarily show you real quick. Like on the amp, see, I like how it shows the value instead of the knob position. I'll show you what that looks like. Knob display. knob, and then the action can be normal or latch. Not really sure what that does actually. Let's go back here. Now it shows kind of a knob, but see what happens is this doesn't necessarily correlate to the here, so when I turn that, it actually moves it to match this, and unless you remember where it was before, it kind of sucks that you always have to go, okay, it's at 10 o'clock, and then it'll, kind of figure out where you want it from that point, which is why I like to show the value instead. That way I know that it's at 4.3. I want to boost it up to 5. Just kind of boost it right up to 5 and I'm good. You can control your headphone volume there. You can reset the memory. This tells you what firmware version it is. Of course, it's got credits. Shows you who was involved. So yeah, so that's basically kind of the user settings. Get your power. Again, this is rig main volume. These are all your user knobs. When they're lit up, that means that there's something here to control. And you've got distortion, modulation, delay, reverb, whether or not your effects loop is on or off. When it's on, and in my case, I've got the mix set to 100%. If that's on and you don't have anything in your effects loop, you won't hear anything. So that's one thing to remember. You can control your send and return levels too, which is really cool. Effects 1 is basically like compressor, whatever you have set under your effects 1, which is right here. So you could have it set, to any number of different effects for effects 1, and that just toggles that on and off. Effects 2, in this case, is a graphic EQ, which I don't have on actually. Basically right there. Actually, I do have it on this patch. Take that back. Again, you can choose a different. So you could actually have, compressor here and a compressor here if you want, which is kind of cool. So you can have different. You can have an EQ before the amp and after the amp. Chorus, any number of effects before and after the amp. And conversely, you could actually, if I wanted, for some strange reason, to have 2 compressors before the amp, you could actually do that too. And the great thing about the 11 rack is it actually adjusts the impedance based on the signal path, based on what pedal is in front or after each pedal. So they did a lot of research on that and a lot of work to get that to happen. So that's kind of a brief overview of it. I'm going to do another demo, kind of go through some of the patches so you can kind of hear what it sounds like. And yeah, that's it. Basically, stay tuned for the second little demo.